So the skyscraper, again, initially emerged for a functional purpose, to try and, again, fit as many people into small spaces as possible. But without a doubt, it also became very iconic and symbolic of cities and of modern progress. We talked about at the beginning of the class how more and more we're seeing the process of urbanization being carried forward more in the East, in countries like Asia, and countries like China, Indonesia, Pakistan, and many cities of Africa. But you're seeing more and more of those cities being urbanized as they are now experiencing the Industrial Revolution that the Western world experienced in the late 19th century. So in those cities, you're seeing more and more skyscrapers being built as a symbol of their progress as well. And we see again how we talked about the chapter on urban planning, how these spaces were how urban planners were very deliberate about creating spaces in such a way where it kind of captures the imagination and kind of like gives you a certain mindset of a city. As we see here, the French Quarter, like in New Orleans, definitely usually a hot destination around this time of year. I think Fat Tuesday is tomorrow. So hopefully they can, be cool this year and everything with COVID going on. A lot of people got COVID when they were celebrating Mardi Gras down there last year. But that's a place, again, where you see and you immediately think of New Orleans. So again, we talked about you watching the Saints football game. They're going to pan through here, show people like, playing like, when I went to a conference there for a few years back, I hadn't been to New Orleans before. First place I went to go was like, all up and down this area. Again, we see like, New York, the skyline where much of like, Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, you're going to see a more expansive skyline that you might see like, in, a small town, something like that. But when you think of the New York skyline, that's mainly like, you're thinking of Manhattan and stuff like that. So a lot of times that's a place where people want to go. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the Sears Tower and the Hancock Building in Chicago. And again, you see here the French Quarter in New Orleans. And there have been many efforts to like, you will be tested on this. You will be tested on the tallest buildings now and in the past. Or their locations. So today, the tallest is in Dubai. For most of the 20th century, the tallest building in the world was the Sears Tower in Chicago, which is the tallest building in the country. But as we said, these cities, again, they were looking to really kind of make their mark in the Eastern world. So in China, Dubai, places like that, they're building like crazy. So there's kind of a race right now to like, outpace one another. New York City had many significant buildings. Again, make sure that you study the location of these buildings, the location. So Singer Tower, the MetLife building, the Woolworth building, municipal building are all located in New York City. We'll talk about each of these and their significance in New York in a moment. And again, keep in mind that we talked about that initially urban planning, just how can we organize things, make sure that our water is clean, make sure that the food supply is sanitary, that we have somewhere to dispose of all the waste, that we can keep people protected, that we can keep people educated, that we can keep people housed. But increasingly they want to also do things to kind of showcase and distinguish their cities. New York City did this through their skyline. So let's look at single building first. And again, these details are up here for a reason. And we'll close on this note for the day. So this building is 47 stories tall. Again, by many modern standards, a pretty tiny building. That was eventually demolished in 1968 after 60 years of existence. As we say, like, these buildings weren't just for show. They were also, again, very functional. So they were used for, a high level of office space. And it was used as like, an advertising symbol for a corporation. So again, many of these buildings are owned by corporations. So again, the MetLife building, for example, again, like, that's like named for an insurance company. The Woolworth building for a pharmacy company. So in this regard, like these buildings played an important role in terms of like, kind of capturing like a certain identity for the city, but they also did a lot for the corporations as well. Please be mindful that your writing assignment is due on Wednesday. Make sure that you submit it on e-learning through coursework. If by some chance that you do not get it in by 11 o'clock, still do submit it. I'll accept late papers. Obviously, the later it is, the more points that you'll lose. Make sure that you read the directions and carefully and answer each question sufficiently. The more questions that you leave unanswered, the more points that you'll lose. Please write only in your own words. I'll see you all on Wednesday morning.
Yes, sir.